Here is a long YouTube script known as title No 1980 Lincoln Penny, the truth about its value, history and $1,000,000 myth. Imagine reaching into your pocket and pulling out a simple 1-cent coin, a broken bar coin most people would ignore without a second thought. Now imagine that same coin being worth thousands, a broken bar or even rumored to be worth $1.2 million. Sounds unbelievable, right? Today we are diving deep into the story of the 1980 Lincoln penny, its history, its real value, and whether any of these coins could actually make you rich. Let's begin. The 1980 Lincoln penny is part of the famous Lincoln Memorial series. This design was first introduced in 1959 to honor Abraham Lincoln, one of the most respected presidents in American history. On the front of the coin, you see Lincoln's portrait. On the back, you see the Lincoln Memorial Building. This coin was minted in massive numbers. In fact, billions were produced in 1980 alone. That means most of these coins are very common, and if you find one interchanged today, it is usually only worth 1 cent. But here is where things get interesting. The 1980 penny is one of the last coins made mostly of copper. Just 2 years later, in 1982, the United States Mint changed the composition to cheaper zinc because copper had become too expensive. IDRSS $1/2 coin value checker.com. Because of this, every 1980 penny contains about 95% copper. That alone gives it a small value above face value, usually around 2 to 3 cents just for the metal. IDRSS $1/2 rarest.org. So far, nothing exciting, but collectors are not interested in normal coins. They are hunting for rare ones. The value of a 1980 penny depends on 3 main things: condition, mint, mark, errors. Let's break it down first. Condition coins are graded on a scale from worn to perfect mint condition. A heavily used 1980 penny is basically worth its copper value, but a perfect, shiny, red-colored coin can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Some of the highest graded examples have sold for thousands, especially rare top-quality pieces. IDRSS $1/2 coin value lookup.com. Second, mint marks. You might see a small letter under the date. D means Denver, S means San Francisco. No letter usually means Philadelphia. But even with different mint marks, most 1980 pennies are still very common because so many were made. Now comes the most exciting part: errors. Error coins are mistakes made during the minting process. These mistakes can turn an ordinary coin into something extremely valuable. Some 1980 pennies have double letters, off-center strikes, or unusual features that collectors love. These rare coins can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. There are even reports of double-die varieties that can reach several $1,000s depending on condition. IDRSS $1/2 US coins guide. Now let's address the big question: can a 1980 penny really be worth $1.2 million? Short answer: no. A broken bar. Not realistically. There is no verified record of a 1980 Lincoln penny selling for anywhere near $1.2 million. The highest confirmed auction prices for this year are only in the thousands. IDRSS $1/2 rarest.org. So where does this $1 million story come from? It usually comes from confusion with other rare coins. For example, some extremely rare pennies from different years, like certain error coins or special compositions, have sold for hundreds of thousands or even over $1 million. But those are completely different coins, not standard 1980 pennies. Sometimes, online listings or videos exaggerate prices to attract attention. In reality, most 1980 pennies are very common and not worth big money. That said, there is still a reason to check your coins carefully because rare errors do exist, and while you probably will not find a $1 million coin, you could still discover something worth hundreds or even thousands. So how do you know if your 1980 penny is valuable? Look for strong doubling in the letters or numbers. Check for unusual weight or color. Look for missing details or off-center designs. Examine the coin under good lighting or magnification. If your coin looks different from normal pennies, it might be worth getting it checked by a professional coin grader. In the end, The 1980 Lincoln penny is a fascinating piece of history. It represents the end of the copper era. It connects to one of the most iconic figures in American history, and it reminds us that even the smallest things can hold hidden value. But the real truth is simple: most 1980 pennies are not worth a fortune. However, a rare one in perfect condition or with a unique error could still surprise you. So next time you see a penny on the ground, don't just walk past it, pick it up, take a closer look, because you never know a broken bar. You might be holding a small piece of history in your hand. If you want, I can rewrite this in a more viral YouTube style with hooks, suspense, and higher attention pacing. 1987 Lincoln penny value history and the truth about the $1.3 million coin. Picture this: you're going through your spare change, maybe after buying something small, and you notice a simple penny dated 1987. You almost ignore it. After all, it is just 1 cent, a broken bar, right? But what if that small coin could actually be worth hundreds of broken bar, thousands of broken bar, or even rumored to be worth $1.3 million? Today we are uncovering the full story behind the 1987 Lincoln penny, its history, what makes it valuable, and whether that million-dollar claim is real or just another internet myth. Let's start with the basics. The 1987 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series that began back in 1909. It features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, designed by Victor David Brenner. On the back, you see the Lincoln Memorial, a design that was used from 1959 all the way until 2008. By 1987, this coin had already been in circulation for decades, and millions of people handled it every day without thinking twice. But something important had already changed by this time. Unlike older pennies made mostly of copper, the 1987 penny is made primarily of zinc with a thin copper coating. This change happened in 1982 when the cost of copper became too high. So while older pennies have intrinsic metal value, the 1987 version does not. Its value depends almost entirely on condition and rarity. Now here is where things get interesting. In 1987, the United States Mint produced a massive number of pennies. Philadelphia minted billions, Denver minted billions, San Francisco produced proof coins for collectors with such huge numbers. You might think these coins are completely worthless beyond 1 cent, and for most of them, that is true, but not all. Coin collectors look for 3 key factors when determining value: condition, mint, mark, errors. Let's talk about condition first. Most 1987 pennies you find are worn and circulated. These are only worth face value, but if you happen to find one in uncirculated condition, especially with a bright red shine, its value can increase significantly. High-grade coins, the kind that look almost perfect even under magnification, can sell for dozens or even hundreds of dollars. In rare cases, top-graded examples have reached much higher prices in auctions. Now let's look at mint marks. You may see a small letter under the date. No letter means Philadelphia, D means Denver, S means San Francisco. Proof coin. Proof coins are specially made with extra detail and a mirror-like finish. These are usually more valuable, especially if they are well preserved. But the real excitement comes from errors. Error coins are where ordinary turns into extraordinary. Some 1987 pennies were struck with mistakes during production. These errors can include double letters, off-center strikes, clipped plan case, or even wrong metal compositions. One of the most talked about possibilities is a rare transitional error where a coin might have been struck on the wrong type of metal. While extremely rare, these types of mistakes can make a coin incredibly valuable. Collectors are always searching for these unusual pieces because they are unique and hard to find. Now let's address the biggest question: is there really a 1987 penny worth $1.3 million? The honest answer: no. Confirmed 1987 Lincoln penny has ever sold for anywhere near $1.3 million. That number is mostly a myth that spreads online to grab attention. It is often confused with other rare coins from different years that have sold for massive amounts due to unique historical factors or extreme rarity. However, this does not mean the 1987 penny is worthless. Some rare era coins from this year have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, and high-grade certified coins can also bring in impressive prices among serious collectors. So while you probably will not find $1 million penny, you could still discover something surprisingly valuable. Here is how to check your coin. Look closely at the date and letters for doubling. Check if the coin is off-center or has unusual shapes. Weigh the coin if possible to see if it matches standard specifications. Look for a bright red color which indicates minimal wear. If something seems unusual, it might be worth having your coin examined by a professional grading service. The truth is, coin collecting is not just about money, it is about history. Every 1987 penny tells a story of its time, a time when the United States had already shifted to modern coin production methods, and billions of these coins were moving through everyday life. Yet hidden among them could be rare mistakes, a broken bar, tiny differences that turn an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. So next time you see a penny lying around, do not ignore it. Pick it up. Take a closer look, because even though the $1.3 million claim may not be real, the possibility of finding something valuable is very real, and sometimes, the smallest coin can lead to the biggest surprise. If you want, I can make an even more viral version with stronger hooks and storytelling designed to boost watch time and audience retention. 1971 Lincoln penny value history and the $1.4 million mystery. Imagine this: you are cleaning out an old drawer, maybe something that has not been opened in years, and you find a handful of old coins. Among them is a small, worn penny dated 1971. It does not look special. It does not shine. It feels like just another ordinary coin. But what if that simple penny could be worth a life-changing amount of money? What if someone told you that a 1971 Lincoln penny could be worth $1.4 million? Would you believe it? Today we are diving deep into the truth behind the 1971 Lincoln penny, its history, its real value, and whether this million-dollar claim has any reality behind it. Let's start with the history. The 1971 Lincoln penny is part of the Lincoln Memorial Series, one of the most recognizable coin designs in the United States. The front of the coin features Abraham Lincoln, a design first introduced in 1909. The back shows the Lincoln Memorial, added in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. By 1971, this design had already become a familiar part of everyday life. People used these coins without thinking twice, passing them from hand to hand across the country. But unlike modern pennies, the 1971 version was made mostly of copper, about 95% copper. In fact, this was before the big change in 1982. When rising metal costs forced a switch to zinc-based coins. That means every 1971 penny has a small intrinsic value due to its copper content. Even today, the metal inside can be worth more than 1 cent. But that alone will not make you rich. So what actually makes a 1971 penny valuable? There are 3 major factors. Condition, mint mark, errors. Let's talk about condition first. Most 1971 pennies in circulation are worn, scratched, and dull. These are typically worth only a few cents. But if you find one in uncirculated condition, especially with its original red luster, its value can increase dramatically. Collectors pay a premium for coins that look almost perfect, with sharp details and no visible wear. The difference between an average coin and a top-grade coin can mean the difference between 1 cent and hundreds of dollars. Now let's look at mint marks. 1971 pennies were minted in 3 main locations: Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with the D mint mark, San Francisco with an S mint mark for proof coins. Proof coins are specially made for collectors. They have a mirror-like finish and sharper details. A well-preserved 1971 S-proof penny can be worth significantly more than a regular coin. But the real excitement begins with errors. Error coins are the hidden treasures of the coin world. In 1971, there were several known varieties and errors that collectors look for. One of the most famous is the double die obverse. This happens when the design is stamped twice slightly out of alignment, causing visible doubling in the letters and numbers. A strong double die 1971 penny can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on its condition. There are also other types of errors: off-center strikes, clipped plan case, die cracks, and unusual markings. Each of these can increase the value of a coin. sometimes dramatically. Now let's address the big claim: is there really a 1971 Lincoln penny worth $1.4 million? Here is the truth: there is no confirmed record of a 1971 penny ever selling for $1.4 million. That figure is almost certainly an exaggeration or a misunderstanding. It is often confused with extremely rare coins from other years that have unique errors or historical significance, but that does not mean valuable 1971 pennies do not exist. Some high-grade examples and rare era coins have sold for impressive amounts. In rare cases, top-condition coins or strong era varieties can reach into the thousands. So while the million-dollar story may not be real, the potential for finding a valuable coin is very real. Here is how you can check your 1971 penny. Look closely at the date and the word Liberty for signs of doubling. Check the overall condition and color of the coin. Look for any unusual shapes or striking errors. Use magnification to spot small details that are easy to miss. If your coin stands out in any way, it might be worth having it evaluated by a professional coin grading service. At the end of the day, the 1971 Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It is a piece of history. It represents a time before modern coin changes, when copper still dominated U.S. coinage. It connects us to one of the most important figures in American history, and it reminds us that even the smallest objects can carry hidden stories and unexpected value. So next time you see an old penny, do not ignore it. Pick it up, take a closer look, because even if it is not worth $1.4 million, it might still be worth far more than you think. And sometimes, the thrill of the hunt is worth just as much as the treasure itself. If you want, I can create a super higher attention viral version with stronger hooks, suspense, and storytelling designed to keep viewers watching until the end.